How do you feel as the fashionable actor in Hollywood?
Fashionable? Who's calling me fashionable? I don't know. I've never heard that title before. But great. If people think I'm fashionable, brilliant. Bueno.
What attracts you to the character?
It brought me a very interesting journey. A story about a man struggling with what was right and what was bad, and what his responsibility was to his people, and what it meant to protect his family. It was a very interesting journey. It was about a human turning into a vampire and everything that entails.
There have been many versions of Dracula. Do you have a favorite one?
Yeah, it would probably be the Bram Stoker Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola, with the wonderful Gary Oldman playing the titular role.
What were your influences when you were shaping the character?
Well, I sort of went into the history books and read a lot of biographies about Vlad and about the period of time when he was alive, and lots of documentaries about Eastern Europe and about Wallachia and the place where he was prince, and all the troubles in his life. You know, he had a very dark past. So yeah, that's where I took my references from.
This Dracula has a lot of a superhero. Do you like to interpret a superhero?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, might be fun. I'm quite good with a cape and I can fly, so who knows?
You've gone from the supporting roles to have been in the leading role. What differences do you notice?
You don't get a day off. You're in every day, and the responsibility is immense. It's big. When you're playing a supporting role in a big movie and you watch the leading actor, you know, you see the responsibility and the amount of commitment that they have to give to the role. And so I was very ready to play a leading character, and I had a great time doing it.
Until now, you've been in a lot of big budget movies. Would you be interested to do the movies more independent?
Yeah, I've just finished one. Yeah, it's called High Rise. It's an adaptation of a J.G. Ballard novel, directed by a British director called Ben Wheatley. We shot it in Northern Ireland. It took 7 weeks to shoot, and it's a brilliant, dark, but fantastic story, which yeah, I had a great time. Shot it with Tom Hiddleston, Sienna Miller, and Jeremy Irons.
When will you go to do the remake of The Crow?
Potentially, that is something on the books, yes. But at the minute, we don't have a start date or anything. So, but it could happen. It could happen. That's all I know.
If you were Dracula and have the powers he has in the film, what would you do with?
I'd probably turn into bats and go scare all my friends. I'd probably wait till Halloween and then go scare them all.
Can you tell a story about the shooting of Dracula Untold?
Physically, it was a really intense shoot, and I almost lost my eye shooting one fight sequence with Dominic Cooper. It was a really intense fight sequence. It took us all day, and we were in this armor, so we couldn't move correctly, and it was a real struggle. And the sword, it hit me right on the eye bone here, half a centimeter more, and I'd have lost my eye. So that wasn't a good day. My favorite Dracula is Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's a performance that is terrifying and desperate and sinister and brilliantly portrayed. It's the one that's stuck in my mind the most. Yes, yeah, very much so. It was about, in that movie, Coppola touches on the origin of him for 10 minutes at the beginning of the film. You see Vlad, in the red armor. But our story it really expands on that story and tells the full origin of the historical figure that inspired Bram Stoker 400 years later, So it was a new story, a story that most people won't know of. um, well, first of all, when you get an opportunity to work with an actor of such caliber as somebody like Charles Dance, for me as an actor, it was just a real gift. He shot all his scenes in 5 days, 4 or 5 days. So it was really wonderful, and I loved every minute of it. He's quite terrifying. When he played that character, he's a very tall man, very statuesque, and delivered a brilliantly terrifying, desperate, sinister, dark character, which really mattered. It's a very strong storyline and a really legitimate threat to my character. Did I talk about Game of Thrones? No. I've never watched Game of Thrones. No. So I'm probably one of the only people in the world that hasn't watched it. But I will watch it one day. It's just I feel I'm a little behind now, right? So. I know I'm very aware of it. Yes, it's an exciting idea, and yeah, if it happens and I get to play Dracula again, I'd be very happy with that. Very happy indeed. Oh yes, yeah. Apparently so. Yeah. I must have filmed it at some point. I don't really know exactly what it is, but has it not come out yet? I don't know. I mean, it's something I'd love to do, definitely. It'd be nice to merge my theatre life with my film career. So yeah, I'm very excited. I'd love to do it. It's just finding the right project and, yeah. But I'd love to do that. It'd be fantastic. Maybe do a musical film. That would be the best bit, I think.
Simular el audio. Simultánea, sí. Sí. Vamos. La película se inicia, digamos, antes de lo que el personaje dejó Bram Stoker, donde lo dejó. Y vemos un Drácula distinto. ¿Es más un superhéroe o un antihéroe? ¿Cómo lo consideras?
We see the character here before he becomes the Bram Stoker character, as it were. So what we see here, is he a superhero or an anti-hero?
Well, I probably would describe him more of an anti-hero, but with superhero powers.
Pero con los poderes de un superhéroe.
Le he escuchado decir que tenía, antes de rodar la película, incluso rodando la película, que tenía interés en conocer a Christopher Lee por conocer el personaje anterior. ¿Ha tenido oportunidad de hablar con él, que le diera indicaciones para el personaje?
She's wondering if you've had a chance to meet Christopher Lee, because you said about how interested you would be in meeting him, and did you have that chance yet?
No, not yet. I'm going to meet him at Christmas, hopefully. Hopefully he'll be at the Hobbit premiere. But we weren't on the film set at the same time in New Zealand, so I never got to meet him, unfortunately.
En el plato en Nueva Zelanda al mismo tiempo, entonces todavía no le conozco.
¿Qué es lo que aporta al mito de Drácula este Drácula? Porque hace muchos años que no veíamos un Drácula en pantalla y nos devuelve un Drácula muy modificado. ¿Qué es lo que él cree que aporta este Drácula al mito?
Okay, it's been a while since we've seen Dracula on the screen now, so what are you bringing to this new version?
Well, it's a fresh new tale which is the origin story about this very famous creature, this character that most people only know of because of Bram Stoker's novel. It's the story that starts 400 years before that, with the historical figure that inspired the whole story in the first place.
Bueno, pues el cuervo, Apolo, Zeus, todos esos personajes parece que están anclados o en divinidades o en, digamos, todo lo contrario, el antihéroe. ¿Qué cree que él tiene él para traer ese tipo de personajes?
So with all your different roles between the Titans and all the rest of it, you're either with gods or anti-heroes. So what do you think you have that you get those roles?
I have no idea.
No
idea. God, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is I'm very happy that I'm mixing up all these different characters, and some of them are very sort of, you know, larger than life, and some are very, you know, based in real sort of human emotion, and sometimes, as in this story, it's I'm dealing with the human and I'm dealing with a very supernatural creature, and I'm able to merge both of those stories together, which is very fun.
En esta película por primera vez vemos a un Drácula que no es alguien, digamos, descarnado ni malo por naturaleza, sino que tiene vemos por qué llega a ser eso. ¿Qué ha sido más difícil, el reto emocional de la película de meter a un personaje que pensamos que era malo y ya está, o el reto físico, porque es una película que requiere también mucho entrenamiento?
Okay, which was the harder part here in doing the film? The physical part or the part of showing this character who develops from being all that we know he is, the family man, the father, the husband, and watching him develop into what he then became into Dracula. So which was the harder part?
I would say it was a challenge, a big challenge to be able to deliver like the human storyline, and also then watch the transition, which isn't an immediate transition. It takes a while. You see this man struggling with fight inside of him with this vampire power and this human, you know, this moral dilemma of doing something right but using the darkness to do it. But that was a really challenging but rewarding experience. But the physical stuff was super demanding. Like, I have never done anything as difficult as that in my life. But again, very satisfying. You know, when you get to the final day and watch the final cut of the movie and look at yourself doing all these physical fight sequences, and you're just like, wow, you know,
te ves a ti mismo
I'm proud of
haciendo
myself.
todas las luchas, las batallas, y uy, estoy orgulloso de mí mismo.
¿Y qué cree que es lo que el público va a sacar de conclusión? ¿Cree que va a conocer a un Drácula más humano? O sea, que con esto se va a comprender un poco más el mito, porque además como va a haber una segunda película, digamos, que se va a profundizar más en ello, eso sería uno de sus grandes retos, o sea, más éxitos, digamos.
So are you hoping that with this the public will get to understand Dracula more? They'll even sympathise with Dracula.
Well,
They've got a whole view of him.
Yeah, I think maybe this film will make people maybe question their overall understanding of what they know of Dracula. And that's good. We're pressing different buttons. We're making the audience question, you know, do they stand by this man? Do they follow this man? Do they understand his journey? Or is he a wicked, evil creature? And I think most people will leave the theatre, the cinema, thinking very differently about what they know of this creature.
¿Cree que además de toda la narración de la película también es en cierto modo una fábula de cómo el poder corrompe? Porque vemos como su personaje, en cuanto empieza a desarrollar los poderes, digamos que le corrompe, y eso también es algo fundamental.
Do you think it's also a bit of a fable about how power corrupts?
Yes, it potentially could be, yeah. Or how power used in the wrong way can turn you into a very dark creature. But also it's a story about sacrifice, self-sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. About revenge and betrayal and heartbreak and responsibility. There's a lot of very strong themes running through the film. Great. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Vampiros de la historia del cine por la cabeza.
You know, Gary Oldman playing the very old vampire and
Pensé en Gary Oldman haciendo de vampiro mayor, en Christopher Lee, así que fue un alivio cuando leí el guión y me di cuenta de que no era sobre esa parte de su vida, sino de los comienzos. Estoy seguro de que tenía un lado bueno en alguna parte.
Very different, but also it's a part of the life, the part of the story of this of Dracula that we haven't really seen on film before. So we had a license to tell a new story. We had it was our duty to tell the untold version of the origins of such a famous literary figure. I'd say this is the least most enjoyable part of the experience. If I'm honest, I'd rather be on a film set making a movie than talking about it. But you know, it's part of the job. It would be remiss of us to avoid the action in this movie, in this story, because there's plenty of it. And also using all those amazing supernatural powers that he has of turning into a creature and using the power of the darkness. And these are parts of the vampire story that have been written about in folklore for centuries. I don't read reviews. I used to read reviews. But I've realized they don't benefit me reading them anymore. I mean, I think it's, it's one person's opinion as opposed to a whole audience of people who go and see a movie. And often critics can get it very wrong. Watching box office is quite interesting. I mean, on this movie, it's been very exciting to watch. You know, it opened #1 in so many countries and stay at #1. I've just been in New York and I've seen a lot of shows on Broadway and off Broadway, and they've been really enjoyable. And it does trigger my hunger for treading the boards again. I've only touched on romantic comedy once, which is the black comedy Tamara Drew with Stephen Frears.
El que abans que hi ha a Twitter.
That's me, yes. Yes.
I llegeixes tot el que diuen?
Almost.
Han escrit també que ets el Dràcula més sexy del món.
Really? Yes. Oh, I wrote that. This face gets me a lot of dark characters. Nothing I can do about that.